Hey guys, today I have Rachel with me again,
Hi.
and today we're gonna react to why I changed my opinion on China. So he's a YouTuber, I think he's American, and he has a Chinese girlfriend, and I think he lived in China for a while, and then he visited Taiwan for a little bit, and he basically does very opinionated videos on China from a laowhy's perspective. You know what laowhy means,
Yeah.
right? What does that mean?
Foreigner.
Foreigner, right? I think his channel is laowhy86. Yeah, and yeah, let's get into it.
Now, China's a country that polarizes people's opinions, mine included. I'll be the first to correct someone that is unfairly criticizing the country, and the first to point out when overly optimistic visions of China's future are just plain wrong. I've seen China in its golden years, and I've seen a country where the top-heavy policies are starting to tear at the seams. The first thing that China is seemingly doing correct is growth and development. I have to admit, when I would leave China to visit my hometown once every couple years around 2008 to 2012, it was just embarrassing to see that not only did nothing change in my hometown, but the few businesses and attractions that were just managing to keep afloat were shutting down. The once passable city center was now more or less boarded up. The mall, destitute and abandoned. People were leaving in droves to go south for better jobs, and it really looked like local politics and economic policies were failing in the town. Not only small towns like my own were disappointing though, I would fly into JFK Airport in New York City and just feel like I was stuck somewhere in the 70s in terms of the tech and attitude in the workforce. Stepping out of the cab into New York City, it wasn't dirty per se, but everything just felt old. Yeah, old is a good word for it. Yeah, the charm was always there. I love New York, and it's always had a special place in my heart, but I just couldn't shake the feeling of it not going
Have you been to New
places.
York?
Trying to get home was a nightmare. There was only a couple buses for a day for over $50 just to make a 100-mile journey. I'd have to take a $52 taxi ride from the airport to the bus station as well. Meanwhile, flying back to China, I would look out the window of my plane, and I'd see the magnificent buildings springing up from the ground like
Do you recognize?
bamboo
What
shoots
city
after
is
a good
it?
rainstorm. I'd hop off the plane and be able to take a direct bus that only cost $7 to my small city of 3 million people in a matter of minutes. Because straight from the airport, the buses left every 15 minutes. But if I want to splurge a bit, I could just take the high-speed rail. Yeah, even my tiny little no-name city had a high-speed rail line. Keep in mind, this is one of the least important cities in the province, so it's not like I was going to DC from New York City. It was more like going to my hometown from New York City. After getting off the bus, it cost me $2 in taxi fares to go straight to my house. And guess what? Even back in 2013, I was paying for everything with my phone.
You did too, right? Wait,
On the bus from New
how
York City.
old were you when you went to
How old was I?
China? Yeah,
I was 14 in 2004.
and they were already using phones.
No.
Oh, okay.
No,
okay.
sorry. But he said in 2013.
13.
Yeah,
Okay.
so around
Good.
that time.
Okay, yeah. So 14, you were there for what, 5 years?
Back and forth between Australia and that.
Okay.
But yeah, I was back in China already in 2012. So that's when things started
Okay.
like WeChat.
Right,
Everyone
yeah.
started
City to
using
my
WeChat.
hometown, I'd watch the swaths of forest go by on my journey. I couldn't help but shake the fact that when I got home, I'd be stuck there. The nearest shop was a 15-minute drive, and there was certainly no one that was going to deliver anything that I needed to my door. Flashback to my backwater apartment in no-name Chinese city, and I was having Oreos and beer delivered to me at any time of night. Not that I recommend that anyone order Oreos and beer at 1 a.m., but I could, and that's what mattered. Pop downstairs at any time of night, and I could sit roadside and eat and drink to my heart's content. Make friends with curious locals, and spend little to nothing. How's $5 for some beers and barbecue sound? Now, conveniences aside, life in China compared to the US felt relaxed. Anything goes. The rules were more of a suggestion than anything. I ran my business cash or WeChat Pay, and clients would come to my informal office for English lessons. Word of mouth was enough for a 20-something-year-old like myself at the time to make a really nice profit, and a ton of spare time to party, meet people, and pursue my hobbies like riding and building motorcycles to boot. Compare this to my prospects of working my way up slowly as a network admin or a code monkey in the States, where I was still paying off student debt, and life looked horrible at home. I watched myself move up financially, socially, and I really felt like the world was my oyster. I I got married, I had my first child, and although the responsibilities as a parent started to take over, I still could go to my roof at night with my buddies, crack a beer, and watch the city around me explode with neon and development and hope. The train felt like it would never stop. I even expanded and started making videos full time. Not to mention had the freedom to go out on month-long expeditions and film full-on TV documentaries with little to no regulation on where I could go or what I could do. I could speak Chinese fluently, and I was finally able to pursue my dreams, riding motorcycles and filming amazing content with my best friends. Things, however, changed pretty drastically. The train and bus tickets that I mentioned now needed a Chinese ID to buy them, something I would never have. You can't become a citizen of China. You can't even get a green card.
Does that mean
This
he can't
meant-
ride the train if he doesn't have an ID?
I think you can. You definitely still can, but maybe you need to get an agent to do it for you or something.
To get like a special foreigner ID or something, I guess?
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being enslaved to my wife's help, with really buying anything transport related.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was
wife.
now illegal to put an American flag up next to the Chinese one at the entrance to my English training center, even though it symbolized cooperation. Police visits became a regular fixture of my life, and friends and family in the government were now telling me that I was constantly being monitored and followed, and I should be careful about posting anything online, or who I was associated with. And keep in mind, all of my content was fairly positive. Social media and non-Chinese websites were now blocked, and my little window to the outside world was now shut. My motorcycle business with my best friend shut down when the government decided that it wanted to reclaim the land for more ramshackle ghost towns for hungry real estate investors. No one was asked if this was okay. A big uptick of kidnappings in the neighborhood park started to become more prevalent, and with a child at home, the idea that I could lose my daughter to human traffickers really kept me up at night. Unrest at the nearby hospital down the road led to the murder of countless nurses, and drunken street violence at the barbecues was hard to avoid now. Police would arbitrarily threaten me with arrest, even coming to my door, because I had flown a drone over the building where I lived. They said there was a military base that was visible in the footage. Meanwhile, the exact same footage was posted on Chinese video sites by Chinese people with no pushback. Arbitrary enforcement of law when random government leaders would come to town meant that street-side vendors were closed and shooed away, with all their goods confiscated. All of the choice I had for restaurants on my local road would close and reopen with worse and worse quality food. I got sick a lot more than in the past, and with the ever-growing prevalence of gutter oil being used in the cooking and the fake alcohol even being sold in large supermarket chains, it wasn't a good time to be eating or drinking anything.
I've
The
had a
buildings
lot
I
of
once
sewer
fawned
oil.
over.
You had what?
I think I've eaten a lot of sewer oil.
In what? Sir oil?
He was talking about how like the street food is made with sewer oil. Have you heard about that?
Sir oil? What is it?
Sewer.
Sewer oil.
Sewer.
Oh
I don't know
my
how you guys say it.
god. What? That's
It's like
not
second
true, right?
secondhand
Sewer
oil
oil?
from the sewer. Yeah, it's true.
Oh my god. I've heard that, the takeout chopsticks, what they
Yeah.
do is they'll even take it out of the trash and just put it in a bucket of bleach and then rinse it and then reuse it.
Yeah, probably.
Oh god, come on guys.
Started showing signs of abandonment. And those bamboo shoots springing up around me at an alarming rate turned out to be hollow shells and empty apartments, some of them nearly collapsing only after 3 years. Due to the advice of my Chinese family and friends, I bought my own apartment for my family, but the elevator collapsed twice in this shiny new building that had
Yeah,
literally
I heard
just
building
been
standards aren't the code.
built, and massive cracks formed across the floors and walls. China also decided to randomly ban motorcycles, so every day involved a calculated route to avoid police barricades where they would snatch your
What?
keys.
Wait,
and
why
take
would
your
they
bike
ban
indiscriminately.
motorcycles? Any idea?
I don't know. When I was there, it was still allowed.
A lot of motorcycles? When
Like-
did you leave?
Oh, I don't know about motorcycles. Like
Uh,
like all my friends were still riding scooters. I think that was 2015.
Okay.
This caused an insane
Oh, what the
explosion
hell?
of car traffic, which made it frustrating to drive anywhere. You really had to time when you went out. Our next documentary, Conquering Northern China, focused on showing the positive adventures that China had to offer. and it led us to being searched and
What is
detained
that?
by the SWAT team.
I feel
as
like
well
it's
as
an animal something.
Oh, I don't want to see it.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
the People's
I
Liberation
don't think it was an
Army.
animal though.
Apparently, they don't like footage of camels.
That was like,
We were harassed
okay.
and bullied out of towns, not allowed to stay at most hotels,
Oh.
followed, and we quickly realized that the vibe towards foreigners had changed. For the first time, I would be heckled almost weekly by locals who had been reading too much news about how China's problems are now the fault of foreigners.
Oh, come on.
You're stealing our Chinese women. Go home, foreigner. I don't like Americans.
There's 1.4
Family
billion
members
people
who once
there.
loved
Come on.
having me over started to blame me for political decisions abroad that they deemed as bad Western influence that was harming China.
Yeah, I can see that.
My fluency in Chinese had gone from a major asset to a sad realization that people's opinions about the outside world were souring. Foreigners were now corralled into an A, B, or C class system based on arbitrary standards
Wait,
and
what?
dictated
Foreigners
what
had a grading system?
Not like technically, I don't think. Just like socially, that was. Well, like
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm thinking
social
about
grading.
in Shanghai, for example. Like now, the government is really picky about who they want to stay. So, like, if you are like adding value to the society,
You
economic
get a higher
stuff,
grade,
then they
sort
might
of?
consider you as
Right.
like a.
Social credit.
they could or couldn't do for work.
Oh no,
The
it's
social
literally.
credit system
Wait,
was
what?
being rolled out.
There's
which
actually literally a class.
Oh.
Class A will include. Yeah.
Okay,
Class B,
yeah.
yeah.
just monitors your activity, what you do or say about the government, and pretty much all of your actions. And banners praising
Yeah,
the
that's
current
nuts,
leader, as
the
well as
social
tons
credit.
of communist insignia, started to be unveiled in every corner of the country.
Really?
Cameras could
It's not
now be
even
found
communist
in every
anymore.
stoplight and street corner. All this new regulation, the clampdowns, the renewed xenophobia, even the growth, seemed to be shifting from a tolerable inconvenience to a full-fledged, messy, bureaucratic nightmare. You see, China's always thrived on being a gray area in almost all walks of life. Capitalism had taken its tolls in many ways, but life was improving and even felt freer than the West in many, many ways, albeit no political expression or freedom of speech. Now churches are being dismantled, millions of ethnic minorities are being put into concentration camps and being told that they're Chinese but need to be re-educated, families torn apart, foreign entertainment opinions blocked and squashed, overstepping boundaries when it comes to free societies like you see in Hong Kong,
You can pause
military
if you want,
showmanship,
whenever you
threats,
want.
That's okay.
imprisonment, and doxing. Huge smoke and mirror government projects like the Belt and Road Initiative have created a populace that doesn't dare speak out, gives up what little freedom they had in the first place to do and say what they want. In many ways, China has effectively become a dystopian police state, and the wonderfully curious and upwards-looking people I once knew have become deeply affected by the one-party rule, clinging to order as their house of cards starts swaying with economic slowdown and other changes in the world around them. The open tap for dialogue with other people from other countries has effectively been shut off, and they've created an army of soft power internet trolls and government initiative to try
Have you
and
heard about
prove to
that?
the world that it's not only us versus
I don't know
them.
what he's referring to specifically.
I think it's called like the 5-cent army or 10-cent army, where they're literally paid to comment on videos that maybe have a poor impression on China, and like they'll comment like, yeah.
But that our system is
sense.
best. You see, there's a bit of self-guilt involved. You might think, over these past 10 years, I've changed. Maybe now, I'm the one that's become sour. I'm the one that's become bitter. But when you look at your language experience, the people you know and love, the things around you, the place that you bought a house in, the place that you started a family in, everything around you is shifting towards the negative. Everything around you is being clamped down on and tightened up. And people's freedom of expression and ideas that once almost flourished in the early years of me moving to China are now squashed. You realize that these past 10 years, you've started to understand actually how things are working. And not only that, how things are potentially going. And it doesn't feel good. Now when I go back home to my tiny little town in the forest, it all makes sense. And it feels fantastic.
Wow.
That's a good video.
Yeah.
Really well done. I want to know where he's from though, like.
In America, you mean, or in China?
Both,
Yeah.
yeah. That would be.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider supporting me on patreon.com/laowhy86, where you can see other bits of the shows. You can vote on topics, and you can actually talk to me directly. And don't forget that every single Wednesday at 1 p.m.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I like that. How? Yeah, it's like. Oh, there's so much I can say about this video. Actually,
Yeah.
like, Obviously, like I like how in the beginning he's like, because a lot of people who are kind of ignorant on China, they might have like just a easy, straight, like negative view on China. So I really appreciate in the beginning he's like, oh, it's, you know, in many ways it's better than in the States, and you know, whatnot. But then so and then I think and then he even said like when I went back home to America, it's like, oh, like I feel so isolated, it's so inconvenient, you know, everything's more expensive just to get from the airport to go home. But then at the end he tied it back to that original, oh, now I don't mind it anymore because you know, there's things that I value here, like freedom of speech and freedom of, you know, to openly express your political opinions, even if it's against the government. And it's so what are your thoughts? Like you actually live there. I've never been to mainland China, so
I mean, the word that sticks out for me is like arbitrary, right? Because he was saying that the rules are there as a suggestion, and that can be such a good thing.
Wait, okay, so when I heard that, the only thing that came to mind was like traffic rules, like how, like driving rules. So what do you mean?
But like in business as well, like it's also, I guess that's something that I was thinking of when he said that as well. Like I think it's still that kind of place where you, like if you know certain people, things are easier and that kind of thing. So I don't know, like in China everything is possible, like you can literally do anything you want, which is like such an amazing thing about it. But then everything is also difficult and like arbitrary. So like you can be made an example, the government can make an example out of you if they feel like it. So it's pros and cons, right? Like
so from what I got out of the video, it's like while it was still maturing, developing, where the rules were less defined and they were still growing, it's like it seemed like there were a lot of freedoms. But maybe after the government sort of like got its handle on things, they're like, okay, now we can do more, we can crack down on more things that we want to. Maybe
because like when they were focused on economic growth,
they're just
it was like anyone come here. And now it's like I think they feel, and maybe they can be pickier about who they want to be there and who's going to add value to the society. So they don't mind.
I hope that he doesn't, because obviously, you know, there's no way a video like this can be posted on like a Chinese website, like Chinese YouTube. I forgot what do they use? QQ, Youku, Tudo. Like there's so many Chinese websites. There's no way he could post something like this on one of those websites, because you know.
There's no way, you mean?
No way.
Yeah,
no way. Yeah, no way. Even though he complimented China in the beginning, right?
No, but do you think? It sounds like he's based in the States again now, right?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure. No, like there's no way he could. I was gonna say there's no way he could post this video in China and live in China, which is crazy. Like, you hear some. I know other people that you know, had lived in China for a while, and they always go on about, oh, it's so modern now, more modern in Taiwan, because in Taiwan they still use cash and, you know, stuff like that. But in situation and in certain other areas, it's like, no, they're still behind in terms of, you know, human rights and civil liberties and things like that.
Yeah, I think so much has changed even since I left in 2015. Like, I was so shocked when I like met up with my friends who still live in China. I met up with them in Europe, and they were showing me like their social credit scores on their phones.
God.
And I was like, this is blowing my mind right now.
Oh, recently when you went back to Europe?
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
Because like we always knew we were being watched, and that's fine, like Big Brother kind of thing. But now it's just so out in the open.
Yeah, they're being like told, this is your grade. You got up at this time now.
But then it kind of also makes you ask the question, like, is that better? Like here, or like in other countries, you might also still be being monitored closely, but it's just not out in the open. Yeah. So I don't know. At least you know where you stand.
Yeah. But it's just...
but no, I don't think it's a good thing, personally.
The grading system thing?
No.
Yeah. I don't know if I have an opinion on that. Like, my strong... Like, the thing that gets to me is the whole, like, if we don't like you, we can do something to you.
Yeah, that's the scary part.
Like, I was born and raised in Canada in the West. Like, I'm used to, like, having the freedom of having whatever opinion I want. Not necessarily in the household, because Asian. But, like, in Canada. But, like, and have... The government won't do anything to you. Yeah. Even if you're like
you're protected.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was sir?
No, just saying it's a super interesting topic that
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So it's funny because in the beginning, I know that he's only been in China and he went to Taiwan later in his videos. So I was really curious to see like his comparison. I know he made some
He did?
Yeah. Yeah, I can show you those later. But yeah, I think I scrolled down to see some comments and then they were like, yeah, come to Taiwan. Like you obviously like Chinese culture. There's Chinese culture in Taiwan, but you actually have the Western freedoms.
Yeah.
Because like people in Taiwan like curse at the president all the time and they're free to do that. They can comment whatever they want and online and they won't, they're not in fear of any repercussions.
I'd move to Taiwan for the food alone, so.
Oh, for the food alone, yeah, sure, yeah. And
So good.
and we don't use sewer oil to cook our food. Jeez, like I mean, like we.
It's not that bad. Oh wait, I have a funny China story that's kind of related to this.
Please.
It's kind of it's a little bit gross. Is
Yeah,
that okay?
it's okay, yeah.
So I bought like there's like little vendors on the street selling like socks or like hair supplies and I bought hair elastics from them. And then one day like my hair elastic came undone, like the material from the outside.
Yeah.
And like it was like this plastic stuff that came apart. It was like rolling out. It's hard to explain. It was like thin plastic that had been rolled up. Kind of like the end of a balloon. Like imagine if someone cut off the end of a balloon, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, what is this? But it kind of unraveled and I realized like I'm pretty sure it was the end of a condom.
Oh!
And so like you reused condoms to make hair elastics.
Wait, you could get a disease from that.
I know! But like, surprisingly, I was just like, I felt more stupid that I'd been walking around with condoms in my hair for like a week.
Jeez, see, like, come on, guys. Like, see, okay, so, there's obviously like the whole, I don't know, sometimes I even though I'm living here, like, sometimes I'm even afraid of like posting videos and
I know,
saying my
me
opinion.
too, because I still want to go to China, like.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll be able to, because I talk about being Taiwanese and things like that, and obviously if they know that they're not gonna like me and stuff, but fuck it, I'm just gonna say it, like it's already too late. Like, there's the whole like China versus Taiwan thing, right? And even within Taiwan, there's like such a spectrum of what people identify as, like whether the people identify as Chinese, because there's most of the people in Taiwan came from China, other than the Aboriginal people, and but the people who came here hundreds of years ago to Taiwan, they don't identify as Chinese anymore because they've been on the island and separated from the mainland for so long. They just go like, I'm just Taiwanese, right?
Yeah.
And they don't even speak Mandarin until after the Chinese Civil War. Even more mainlanders came and they enforced Mandarin on everybody. There's a video I just watched today about like there's this young Taiwanese person who, is very Taiwanese. He grew up where his family spoke Taiwanese to everybody, and he noticed how, I think he was showing statistics like by next few generations, like you'll only hear Taiwanese in like senior homes. And he's like, he was kind of like crying about that because it's like a strong part of his identity. But anyway, back to this thing, like I just don't like that people who are unaware of like China and Chinese things, people that are just like in the West and concerned about like the West and stuff, I just don't like that their idea of China and Chinese is this government. Because obviously, like, not to get into like politics and history, but like the People's Republic of China started in 1949. The Republic of China started in 1911. Like, and my grandfather was a part of that government. And after they lost the Civil War, they, everybody under that party came to Taiwan. I always think like I would have wished like that they won the Chinese Civil War and they continued to be China. Because there's just so many of these things that just go like, and then when I hear, white people, for example, saying, oh, the Chinese, the China, like they'll say crappy things about like China and
it kind of like hurts you.
Yeah, it's just stings. Like, it didn't have to be this way. It could have been different. But anyway, yeah. Any final thoughts about the whole thing?
No, I don't know. Like, it's a tough topic. Like, even just watching this, like, some things really made me miss China, and I was just like, yeah. But then there's other things that I like just know are really difficult to accept.
Oh
like,
man, I hope I wonder if like you being in this video, if you'll get into any trouble, like if you fly into China.
I
Like,
know.
yeah, no, but I'm not. Nobody. They don't. I'm so small. Like nobody knows.
I thought that. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
If that would happen, like just go to Taiwan. It's like it's in the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s. Like Taiwan was like above China in terms of like the economy and like living standards and just basically the economy. And it was basically like a lot of people refer to Taiwan as what China could have been if the communists didn't win the Chinese Civil War. I keep going back to that, but
Yeah.
But even though now China's economy is just like eclipsed Taiwan by like however many times, the living standards in Taiwan is still overall on average better. Obviously they have a smaller population, so they can like manage that easier, but they have better human rights and civil liberties. Like you don't need to fear the police, for example. Like it to the point where like even my dad's just like he thinks that the police in Taiwan are way too lenient, too easy on civilians, because he came from the area where there was still a dictatorship and all that. So, but anyway, I wish him all the best. I hope he doesn't suffer any repercussions from doing this video.
Hope we don't either.
Yeah, well, we'll see. And if he already has like so many like comments saying like, oh, go to Taiwan if you want to like live and still immerse yourself in Chinese culture. So I wish him all the best, and let us know what you guys think about this topic. And that's not what we're talking about. And let us know what you think about the changes in China, and what do you see China Taiwan, how you view like
where like the directions go.
In 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20
That'd be
years.
an interesting thing to get a discussion on. I feel like you want to say something else.
Yeah, no, I like it. Well, just quickly, like how do you how do you see China in like 5, 10, 15 years, 20 years for someone that's actually been there?
I don't know. It's in such a weird phase right now that I'm not really sure, because things seem to be like opening up more like in the few years before I left, and then since I've left things have been
closing.
Closing more, and I don't know where this direction is going anymore, to be honest. Like
okay, well that's a topic for another, because we can talk about that for a long time. So thanks for watching. Leave your comments, let us know what you think, and we'll get back to you with another video. Bye.